because I know I'm a product of this very system, college golf. I know in my heart I wouldn't have any chance of being the man I am today if it wasn't for being a part of the college golf experience and system. And since Greg Gross has been a great friend, someone I knew back when I was competing when I was at the University of Houston. Greg was at TCU. I was basically the starter on the first tee. That's as close as I got in competition. It's been an amazing journey. And I'm going to make most of my remarks tonight about one man. And that's going to be the man that will be remembered later on this evening when the Coach of the Year is presented. And will be remembered for decades and centuries to come, because the college golf Coach of the Year is named after him. And that was my coach and my mentor and my inspiration, the great Dave Williams. For some reason, when I met Dave Williams back in the summer of 1977, he took a liking to me, and he gave me some opportunities that I truly didn't deserve. I didn't have the pedigree. I didn't have this incredible junior record, shooting low scores and winning golf tournaments. I was recommended by one of his former Cougar players who had played on the national championship team back in the early 60s, played on the tour for a few years. He'd seen me hit balls and give me a few lessons, and he said, I think you could compete. You just got in the right situation. I want you to meet Dave Williams. And a few days later, I basically was auditioning before the legend. I met him out at this golf course called Woodlands, where they played the Houston Open for a number of years. And I instantly knew this was one of the most sincere, sweetest, earnest men that I've ever known in my life. And he told me this was the deal. You go play 9 holes. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to follow you in a golf cart. And you just go play like no one else is here. I birdied the first hole. I birdied the second hole. 2 under after 2. I'm carrying my own bag. I'm playing as a onesie. I played the next 7 holes, 4 over, 3 pars and 4 bogeys. Shot 38. Walked off the 9th green and thought I'd probably blown this opportunity. I was going to the University of Texas, by the way. It was not going to be competing. It would be pursuing communications. But again, I had this chance meeting this opportunity because one former player thought I could play for Dave Williams, but I shot 38. I walked off the green, and I went over and thanked him for spending an hour and a half with me and his interest in me being a Cougar. And he said, I want to welcome you to the University of Houston. He said, now you need to go through a late admission process because I had not applied to the school. And he said, I'd like you to walk on my golf team. It'd be great to have you as a Cougar. So, there were 7 total freshmen that came in. 3 were on partial scholarship. 4 were under that walk-on category. The 3 incoming freshmen got half scholarships. No one was on a full ride the whole time I was in Houston. John Ward from Plainview, Texas, who had shot 10 consecutive competitive rounds in the summer leading into his freshman year at Houston in some big-time junior events across the state of Texas, 10 straight rounds in the 60s. Blaine McAllister from a small truck stop off of Interstate 10 in West Texas called Fort Stockton, who had won the state like 3A high school championship and was highly recruited. And then a guy out of Seattle, Washington, who was offered a few partial scholarships along the way, and his name was Fred Couples. And the rest of us, again, were just there because we were believers and we wanted to be part of this legendary program that at that point had won 13 national championships. Short of it is, the coach, as time went on, would put me in the dorm room with the 3 scholarship guys in my class. the time, I thought that was really cool. These guys were big-time players. We played a lot of golf together, never beat them. And the first day I ever showed up to school, in fact, he took us out to a golf course called Sugar Creek. And I got to play with those three, McAllister, Horn, and Cummins. And I wasn't nervous. You know, when you're 17 years old, you really feel you're pretty confident about what you're doing. And I can remember that day, I don't know why, but to this day I can remember numbers, stats, and names pretty vividly. But I played really well that day, except on the par fives. There were 4 par fives. I went for the green on all 4 of them in 2. And all 4 of them resulted in penalty strokes. One of them, I hit the second shot over a fence out of bounds, and 3 of them I ended up in a hazard next to the green. I played those 4 par fives 9 over. I shot 81. I thought, you know what? I was pretty close. I should have been able to maybe pick up a couple of birdies on those 4 holes. Could have shot 70, who knows? Fred shot 70. Blaine shot 72, John Horn shot 75, I shot 81. I thought, you know, I'm not that far away. Well, that was about as close as I ever got. I mean, I've never had that delusional thought again that I could actually maybe compete with these guys. And the separation was only increasing as time went on. Matter of fact, I wasn't getting a chance to play with my own roommates as time went on. They were playing with the guys with the upper echelon, and I was in the back of the pack. I was number 18 on an 18-man golf team. In a constant fight to try to get to 17. But Dave Williams treated me like I was number 1. And I bet the other 17 guys felt the exact same way. What a gift. What a gift to make a young person feel like they're important and not feel like they're a second-class citizen. It's a different world today, social media, and I'm sure you coaches deal with your players, tweeting and Facebooking and doing all kinds of things. You probably have to watch that pretty closely, although you guys are really around great young men and women. But we had truly a spirit there of optimism. There was no sarcasm, no cynicism, and it was all coming from the man who led us. Dave Williams, he was a saintly guy. And Mrs. Williams, Virginia, they're both gone now. She was a big part of that program's success. Big part. She knew everything that was happening, every score that was shot. She accompanied the team on most of the trips. And she was right in the middle of it. She was the assistant coach. What a gift, though, to give to a young person to make you feel special. I'm around college basketball. Andrew mentioned I've called that 31 consecutive Final Fours and national championships. We're in an era now where a lot of players are in school 1 year and they're off to the NBA. The really top schools go through that. In golf, you guys get to get your hands on these kids for 4 years. You get to have them in such this pivotal time in a young person's life when they're independent for the first time. They're breaking away from home, away from their parents, and now they're trying to find who they are, their identity, and they're suddenly the best guy to ever play in their county, and now they go to a school and everybody else is just as good or better than you, and it's pretty tough. And they're leaning on all of you to let them know that their world is okay. It's a tricky thing. It's a real skill. I'm around a lot of coaches. I'm in the heart of the NFL season right now. Got New England and Denver this Sunday. Check your local listings. And I see coaches who do things in a different way. They have different approaches. I see a guy like Mike Krzyzewski have all of his championships too. The way he runs his program, it's impressive. I'll see Coach Belichick, who's up 6 points right now, early fourth quarter against Baltimore. and he's got his way. And I do a lot of New England games. And I see basically, you boil it down, coaches either lead by inspiration or intimidation. Now there is the gray area, there's somewhere in between. I wrote a book a few years ago about my dad. I talk about this a lot because I was trying to find my dad late in his life in a battle against Alzheimer's. I found my dad through others. That's what the book's thesis was. And I would see a guy like Tony Dungy, who was coaching the Colts, and I called his Super Bowl title. He led that team through inspiration. I saw my dad and Tony Dungy. If he was a coach, he'd be like that. If Dave Williams was an NFL coach, he would have been like Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy never swore in front of his team. Never. Never once would anyone ever say that they heard Tony Dungy say something that he would be ashamed of. He led that team by inspiration. One time I asked him what his week was like. I was getting prepared for a broadcast with the Colts. He was talking about some of the media obligations he'd gone through, and he said he had appeared on a Fox show called The Best Damn Sports Show. You might remember that. He then apologized to me for saying the word damn. But the short of it is, you all have a very important role. You're leaders. You're changing people's lives. My life has been influenced by a lot of people, starting, of course, with my incredible mother and father. My mom is here tonight, and there's nothing that makes me happier than be able to have a night where somebody tries to make a big deal about her son, although I don't, but she feels pretty special about it, and I get to point out that she's here and how much I love her. Doris Nantz is right here. But the coaching thing is, it's important to me. It's important to me what you guys are doing. And I get to meet some of you along the way. Just saw Conrad, 7 other coaches out of the competition out where I live in California. I love being around those teams and coaches a few weeks back. And somebody said to me tonight, who do you root for? Well, obviously I root for my school. And I root for my man, Jonathan Demski, who's right over here. Proud of the person he is. It's not easy being in a school where there's a coach there at one time won 16 national championships, and he embraces it, and he treats us with great integrity. I'm proud of him. We do a fundraiser out in California for his program, and I'm proud to say, in the name of Dave Williams, that we've had the biggest fundraiser now 3 times running in the history of the Houston Golf program. And we do it for a lot of reasons, but we also mainly do it for the fact that we believe in you, John, so thank you. But somebody asked me tonight, who do you root for? You know what the real answer on this is? I root for all of you guys. I'm proud of all of you. Every one of you. Men's and women's golf coaches who are here tonight. The Division I powerhouses that are producing tour quality players all the time. Division II coaches, the Division III guys. Tim Poe, I saw Tim here tonight. I ran across him 5 years ago. I hadn't seen him since. He was the coach for the Palmer Cup team in 2011. And I got to have an evening with his team before that Palmer Cup competition. And I was impressed. And I'm glad to be in the Hall of Fame with him here tonight. That's a big deal to me. But I root for all you guys. You know, I get to call basketball, I get to call the NFL, I'm proud of that. But there's nothing that means more to me when it comes to sport than the game of golf. It is deep in my heart. And it was emboldened by the people that I got to be exposed to when I was at the University of Houston, led by my golf coach. Now here's the thing. This gathering here tonight would never happen if it wasn't for Dave Williams. passed away 18 years ago this week. Been gone for a while. It's in my heart every day. You have in your company tonight, you have the Williams family. This, for me, makes this the greatest thing of all here tonight, is that I'm able to channel, as I stand here, Dave Williams and Virginia Williams. His daughter, Peggy Brody, and her husband, Stephen, are in from Birmingham, Alabama. And his daughter-in-law, Debbie, is here. And his son, Joel, who many of you know from his days of being involved in coaching and working in some other. You guys know him from way back when. He just had knee replacement. I really wish he could be here tonight. But to have the Williams family here, and they mean so much to me, I want you to join me in welcoming back to the college coaches community Peggy, her husband Stephen, Debbie, and Joel, who's back home right now. God bless you guys. So I showed up at school, and the coach said he was a big psychology guy. He'd ask you to stand up and he'd say, what do you want to do with your life? We never saw him hit a golf ball. None of us ever saw him hit a single shot. But he somehow was able to draw out of people their best. And he would ask you to stand up and tell the rest of your teammates, what do you want to do with your life? I'm not exaggerating. I knew since I was 11 years old, I didn't want to be on the PGA Tour. And of course, I had nowhere near the talent to be on the PGA Tour. Heck, I couldn't even make the 17th place on the Houston Golf. I was at 18. But I stood up and I said, guys, my first meeting, I'm Jim Nantz. I want to one day work for CBS. I want to one day broadcast the Masters. And that's exactly what I said. 7 freshmen are there. The 4th person to stand up, I can still see us sitting around a round table. 4th person stood up bashfully, and he said, I'm Fred Couples, I'm from Seattle, Washington, and one day I want to win the Masters golf tournament. How do you think one day we ended up being in the same dorm room together? Dave Williams was a genius. Paul Marchand was on that golf team at Houston. And we had a player who was our heart and soul leader. It was Paul. And Paul is now out here in Las Vegas in a great youth discovery project called The Summit. And leading the efforts there. And of course, he's been Freddie's teacher. He's been Kyle Montgomery's teacher. He's been President Bush 41 Seniors teacher. And it means the world to have Paul and Judy and daughter Morgan all here tonight. Yeah. We would sit in the dorm room. This is not make-believe, this is not good copy. And we would practice the green jacket ceremony. My idea. I would sell Fred on the fact, you're going to one day win the Masters. I'm going to be there broadcasting and hosting it. We might as well get some reps in right now. So when the day comes, we have this thing down. We take a hairbrush, turn it upside down, have the handle acting like it's a microphone. Fred would sit there, okay, what am I supposed to do? No, I had a little tape recorder, a little tape deck with a microphone, and I would record it, and we would play act the scene that happens every year on the 2nd Sunday in April. And by some miracle, on April the 12th, 1992, Fred won the Masters tournament, and now I'm in my 7th year at Augusta. I'm there now as the host, and I'm there to present the green jacket. And now we went through the ceremony just as we had rehearsed in our dorm room at the University University of Houston. Now, what are the odds of that? I do say today, be careful of this. Try to stop it. The world's a tough place. The whole country right now is polarized for a bunch of different reasons. Try to get your guys to believe in goodness. Try to look through a prism of beauty and belief in one another and goodness in others instead of sarcasm and ridicule. We didn't see the world that way. Now, why was that? Why were we that good? I'm just talking about our attitude. It started with our coach. Our coach, he would say, "You're the greatest. You're the greatest." All of us were told at some point we were the greatest. That was a big Dave Williams line. You're the greatest. And after a while, you begin to believe it. I'm pretty good. I one day worked for CBS. He's making me believe this. Today, I'd be afraid that if I actually stood up and said I'm going to one day work for CBS, I'd get laughed out of the room if I was a kid. Right? If somebody stood up and said I'm going to one day win the Masters, people would be saying, snickering behind his back, "Yeah, well, hope you can crack the top 5 here. Good luck getting that green jacket." It's attitude. We've got to change attitudes. We're a little community here at the game of golf. And the most influential time in the sport is at your level and in your hands. Congratulations for winning the academic awards for your team. That's tremendous. A lot to be proud of. It's in your hands. These are young, impressionable people. You can have them believe in positive things and look at people, and whatever the differences might be, look at their goodness, look at their potential, look at their ability to make a difference in the world. I can't believe the bubble we lived in. How did we do that? We never, we weren't allowed to join a fraternity. We weren't allowed to, we weren't partiers, we weren't doing anything crazy. We were good kids. We all were goal-minded people. You're coaching those same people today. That's what golf does. You're not going to be any good at it if you don't have that kind of mindset. All of you are coaching kids that want to be great. Now, tweak it. Give them a positive thought. Put your arm around them. Make them believe. Make them believe in one another. You're never going to be a part of a team again. It's an individual sport. Yeah, they played high school golf. It was kind of a team thing. Now you're playing as a team. That's what I loved about college golf. I love the team part of it. Now they go on, whatever they go on to do, it's a small percentage go on and play on the tour and win major championships. But those who do, what do they relish more than anything? They want to be a part of the team, the Ryder Cup. That's a small fraction. The rest of us, that team thing was right there in those college years. And that is in your hands. My first Masters tournament was 1986. I was 26 years old. And I was scared to death of that assignment. I'd like to do 50, somewhere around that number. One day, God willing, CBS willing, Augusta willing. But I'm on the back nine there. The first one was Jack's epic 6th green jacket. And I was scared to open my mouth. I just wanted to get back for the next year. I'm living the dream. 3.5 years out of college and I'm working the Masters. Like I said I was going to do since I was 11, since I declared when I was a freshman in front of a bunch of strangers at the time. The day after Jack Nicklaus won the green jacket, made a pivotal birdie on the hole I was announcing at that time, the 16th. And I finally summoned up the strength and courage to get some words out, and I said, the bear has come out of hibernation. I went from Augusta to Houston. On April the 14th, Jack won on April the 13th. On April the 14th, there was this big blowout event in a ballroom in one of the biggest hotels in Houston for Dave Williams. It's called A Night to Remember. Now it was the Masters ceremony. I was so proud to come back, having called my first Masters and being there for Coach. He's now up to 16 national championships. He gave one of the greatest speeches I ever heard in my life. And I think about that speech all the time. I couldn't tell you what he said, but I can tell you the way he did it. He had him laughing, he had him crying. And when he tried to get to a pivotal point in his speech, for point of emphasis, he dropped his voice to a whisper. I said to him afterwards, I was just dazzled. I was more impressed with what I had seen at that podium that night than what I had seen the day before from my tower at the 16th at Augusta. And I said, Coach, how do you do that? And he said, Jimmy, you're going to be making a lot of speeches in your life, son. He said, just remember, when you hit a key point, slow down. Speak from the heart, no matter where you are. And drop your voice at a time when you really want people to understand what you're saying is really important to you, that you're speaking from the heart. I recently had the honor of delivering a eulogy at Arnold Palmer's funeral. That was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. Just because I love the guy, for starters. And I wanted to do justice to someone who made our sport extra, extra special. And you know what I saw in Arnold Palmer, and the many times I was so fortunate to be around him, is I saw someone who was, like Dave Williams, a builder in other people's beliefs, in their ability to achieve. He always made the emphasis about you, and he looked you in the eye, and he built you up, and he made you feel good about yourself. And I finished that speech that day. I was thinking of Dave Williams back in 1986, and how spellbound I was by his talk. And I said at the end, remember, Arnold Palmer is always right here. He's right here, he's in your heart. So, this is a special thing for me tonight. I want to thank you guys, all of you, for what you do. I root for all of you. I don't care what school you are. It's not a competitive thing for me at all. It's about the fact you guys honor our game. Every one of you are important to me. Now, you guys are competitive. You have to be. You're trying to win championships. But I see the world from a different place. I see the world from the guy that's on the end of the bench for you guys. I'm seeing the world by the way you guys have touched people. You're here in Vegas, you're going to go back, you're going to have these young people, some of them for 3.5 more years. Just remember, I'm the example of the guy that never did anything competitively in golf. Nothing. We played one day, 18-hole tournament, as Coach called it. That's all I did. But I was around the golf team. And Coach even lettered me one year. I'm a part of this community. I'm a child of this community. If you guys think I'm worthy of a Lifetime Achievement Award, that's a big deal to me. My wife Courtney is over here tonight. I've been telling her for months since Greg and I finalized this date and everything. I said, I don't know what I'm going to say, but this one is really personal to me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for what you do for our game. Thank you for the lives that you're influencing. It's the greatest sport of all. And I'm rooting for you all. If I could channel Dave Williams here at the end, I think he'd look every one of you in the eye right now. He wouldn't be competitive at this point. He'd be proud of this gathering of college golf coaches